We have finally done it. Our Bioretention in the Real World online training course is actually finally here. I know, it has been a long time in the making. We've been promising it for a year, but it's been sitting up here for a lot longer than that. We are very excited that it's here. And we want to take this moment to use this video just to explain a little bit of why we have chosen to make this course. We have multiple things we can do with our time. Why have we chosen to make this particular course? Now, obviously, if you followed any Ideanthro episodes, you will know that we have a bit of a fascination with bioretention systems. But a fascination and talking about them doesn't necessarily translate into putting in the effort to make a structured and coherent course. The reason that we've done this, the reason that we have put together a course with some structure to it, rather than just talking in these episodes like we often do, is because we see a consistent failing here. Bioretention isn't the be-all and end-all, but it's a very useful and very widely used stormwater management technique as a part of water-sensitive urban design. But we see it consistently falling down in one particular way, and that is people, despite the name as bioretention systems being the key here, we see people failing to treat them as systems and instead dealing with them, or attempting to deal with them, as a bunch of isolated components, some plants here, some filter media here, an inlet there, rather than dealing with them as a coherent whole. And this course is all about trying to give you the opportunity to learn about them as a coherent whole. In reality, the best way to do this is to go and spend a whole bunch of time in and around bioretention systems. But that is also slightly impractical. Like, this course distills 10 years worth of our knowledge, 10 years worth of us spending time out in bioretention systems. You can do it, and it's fascinating, it's interesting, it's worthwhile doing, but it is a little bit impractical unless it is just a part of your current day-to-day job to spend a bunch of time around them. If you're out there maintaining these systems every day, you're in a pretty good spot to learn about them. But if that's not you, then you need a more practical way to get into this. And that's what this course is about. Now, I know you might be going, look, Jack, how practical can it be? This course has got more than 300 videos in it. Yeah, I'll come back to that in just a second. But the course is about creating a way for you to spend time around bioretention systems from the comfort of your phone, computer, desktop, whatever you are, wherever you are, and learning about them. And so the way that we primarily do this in the heart of the course is a number of exercises where essentially we show you a system, we pose you a question that you have to think about, and then we come back with our interpretation. These are called the interpretation exercises in the course. We come back with our interpretation of events, and by you comparing and contrasting what you thought about the site and the question versus our interpretation, you start to build up a coherent picture of bioretention systems as systems, and repeat it on multiple different sites. So there are in the order of 40 plus interpretation exercises throughout the course. But there are a whole bunch of other videos, because the reality here is that you can't just sit down and start looking at sites. You need some foundation in bioretention, just a little bit, whether that's through reading a guideline or whether that's through watching some other videos. You need some foundation in bioretention to really kind of turbocharge your efforts out on site looking at systems or using the interpretation exercises. So the course is built up with, it starts with some lessons with some interpretation sprinkled in. It then builds into some demonstrations and more interpretation exercises, and then it finishes off with a big block of interpretation. But if you already have a reasonably solid introduction to bioretention systems, you've seen a few, you've read, some of a few guidelines, you know what most of the main parts are, you can dive straight into the interpretation exercises. Where, as I say, there's more than 40 of them in the entire course. So you can dive in there and start picking apart those, and then go back to the specific lessons or demonstrations if you've got something that you're particularly interested in and need to dig into a little bit more. So we have this course that suits both the complete bioretention newbie and the person who's got some experience here but needs a way to get and see lots more sites than they practically can in their real life. And so this is why, coming back to why we put this course together, is we strongly believe that in order to manage or design or otherwise interact with bioretention systems, we have to understand and treat them as systems. And the only way to do that is to spend lots of time around them and get to know how they behave as coherent wholes. Because here's the thing. Sometimes I hear people say things like, look, bioretention, it's so unpredictable, it's so difficult to manage. It's only unpredictable and difficult to manage if you haven't yet started to pick up the consistent trends or the consistent processes that happen within bioretention systems. Once you start to notice those, and you notice them by spending lots of time around bioretention systems, once you start to notice those, they become entirely predictable and much more easy to manage. But the trends and the interconnections is what makes bioretention as a whole and behave as a system. So it's that we're trying to teach, and it's that reason that we've tried to put this course out there. We have put this course out there because there is nothing else out there that attempts to teach that. You can look at the guidelines, but they teach a bunch of individual components and then maybe have one worked example of how to design a system. You can look at our many free Ideanthro videos and they will teach you lots of good things, but they don't have the structure to do it. We needed a course to give you the lots of examples and the structure to make this possible if you don't want to just go out there and look at heaps of systems by yourselves over a long period of time. So wrapping this up now, we are very keen, we're very excited about the fact that we've been able to put this out there. We're very keen to hear your feedback and your thoughts on it once you get into it. I really look forward to that. But for the time being, if you have any questions about the course, by all means get into it. And this is the point where I should leave you a bit of a spot to go find it, I suppose we should say. So if you want to know more about the course, if you want to sample a couple of videos from the course, have a look in the little workbook that's attached to it as well. You need to go to ideanthro.com/BITRW. So that stands for Bioretention in the Real World. Ideanthro.com/BITRW is the URL to go to, and you will find out heaps about the course and be able to sign up there. Thank you for your interest. As I say, if you got any questions, let me know. We look forward to seeing and hearing what you learn in this course.